Now we're going to start working on some verbs. We work on verbs first because they form the root for many of the nouns, so they'll be useful that way. I recommend at this time that you buy the book 501 Hebrew Verbs, which should be available at your local bookstore. We'll be doing verbs in what's called the past perfect tense, meaning something that has already been completed. Most verbs have, well, I think all verbs have 2, 3, or 4-letter roots, with most verbs being a 3-letter root. Notice there's a patak under the first 2 letters. This was bara, meaning created. Some might start taking notes here and writing these words down. It's really not necessary. It'll be repeated so many times in the future that you'll just kind of learn to remember them. A good dictionary is a better option for you. The next one is kara, meaning called. And it could be in the sense of they called somebody, or in the sense of they called someone by a name. This one is the past tense of the word of to be, or was, haya. Amar is said. Ra'ah, saw. Asa, made. Now we'll take some examples. The word bara. A verb can come either before or after the noun. So one of the tricks to learning the meaning of a sentence in Hebrew is to find the verb first, see which noun applies to it, and then put the other grammar into the sentence. So we have here bara, meaning created. Bereshit is in the beginning. Bara Elohim. In the beginning, God created. When we start out with an unfamiliar sentence, we'll start with the English first, then go back to Hebrew. We have V'ha'aretz ha'ita tohu vavohu, and the earth was formless and void. So now we'll look for the word was, and we see a form of haya, which is ha'ita. Don't stress too much about these differences now. We'll be covering them very slowly. But the root is haya, so we figured some form of was, and then we just go to whatever English translation we have and apply that word to the word in the sentence, ha'ita. This one we have kara, which called, velachoshech, and the darkness, kara, and the pronoun is embedded inside the verb. So he called, lila, nighttime or night. And we'll be covering the different forms of the different pronouns in the next lesson. Looking for the root amar in this sentence, we have a vav and a yud before amar with different vowel points which change with the different forms of the verb. Vayomer Elohim, and that's when you put a vav and a yud before it, it's called the future recursive, I think it is, and it changes the present tense to a past tense. So Vayomer Elohim, and God said. Here's a tricky one. Vayar, you see the root ra'ah isn't there completely because in some forms of the verb the hay is swallowed when an aleph is put in there. You don't have to remember all these rules. All you have to do is recognize the root and get the meaning at this point, and over a period of time as you read a lot they'll just start to make sense. Vayar Elohim, and Elohim saw. Notice this time the verb is before the noun. Et haor, Elohim's, and God saw the light. The root is ra'ah here. And don't stress too much about learning all these rules. I don't know them myself, and I've been working on Hebrew for 4 years. Maybe I should know them, but I don't. But I've found that with lots of reading, you get the general sense, and you get close enough to the meaning for the purposes of what you'll be doing. Now for a practice reading. Va, yo, mer, Elohim Yehi Rakia Betoch Hamayim Vihi Mavdil Bein Mayim Lamayim. Now for a practice reading. Va Yo Mer Elohim Yehi Rakia Betoch Hamayim Vihi Mavdil Bein Mayim Lamayim. Now for a practice reading. Va Yo Mer Elohim Yehi Rakia Betoch Hamayim Vihi Mavdil Bein Mayim Lamayim. I've only repeated it 3 times, and then we'll go to the faster repetition because of time and because perhaps by this point you're getting to a point where you don't need so many slow repetitions. Vayomer Elohim Yehi Rakia Betoch Hamayim Vihi Mavdil Bein Mayim Lamayim. Vayomer Elohim Yehi Rakia Betoch Hamayim Vihi Mavdil Bein Mayim Lamayim. Vayomer Elohim Yehi Rakia Betoch Hamayim Vihi Mavdil Bein Mayim Lamayim. Vayomer Elohim Yehi Rakia Betoch Hamayim Vihi Mavdil Bein Mayim Lamayim. Vayomer Elohim Yehi Rakia Betoch Hamayim Vihi Mavdil Bein Mayim Lamayim. Vayomer Elohim Yehi Rakia Betoch Hamayim Vihi Mavdil Bein Mayim Lamayim. Vayomer Elohim Yehi Rakia Betoch Hamayim Vihi Mavdil Bein Mayim Lamayim. This completes the lesson. If you have time, I would go back and review the part on the verbs. And don't try to be memorizing vocabulary. What I'll do is I'll try to repeat it enough times so that you'll learn it without too much effort.